Absolutely. I would be happy to release a sound this morning.
So good morning, brother. How the heck are you?
Um, Feeling kind of surreal.
Feeling kind of what?
Surreal.
Surreal. Yeah, no doubt, isn't it?
Yeah.
This whole thing seems like I keep feeling like I should wake up in the morning and this bad dream will be over with. And
Realize that you fell asleep listening to Orson Welles.
yeah. So, yeah, it's interesting. I believe that Enagic is actually being singled out right now by the Fraud and Death Administration and the Elimination of Trade Commission to, try and get us shut down. I was telling Tim yesterday that Enagic's probably going to have to go Amway on the federal government. I don't know if you're aware of what Amway did back in the 70s. It was either the 70s or the 80s. They took on the federal government because the federal government was trying to get them shut down, saying that they were a pyramid scheme, an illegal pyramid scheme. And they took it to court and won. And like every network marketing company out there owes a debt of gratitude to Amway because they didn't just fold up and take it. They put their money where their mouth is, and they pulled in their high-powered lawyers, and they took them to court and did us all a big favor. And we have the product that is the biggest threat to these people. I mean, our product, the Kangen water appliance, it replaces so many things, and it eliminates the need for so many things that it's the last thing these criminals want people getting in mass. So yeah, crazy times, brother. So well, I'm always excited to meet with you. It's always a blast when we get together, especially if old Wetz is in the house. He always adds a little bit of humor to everything. Look at his great hair this morning.
What's up, dude? Rocking the Einstein this morning.
Yahoo Serious ain't got nothing on your boy.
Looking good, Wetz. What's shaking there, tree topper? So
I knew the Voltonator's presence was going to be electrifying, so I had to come up and get my charge. And holding the static ball, like you can tell did, that only lasts so long. So I need a little extra voltage.
Yeah,
awesome.
Crazy.
So what's on your mind today there, Ian? What kind of golden nuggets you got for us today?
I'm gonna share some stuff that has been on my mind for this time, but it's coming to a point, JJ, where I'm gonna start sharing less and less, and I'm gonna be relying on people more and more to wake up and see the forest for the trees, because anybody who has screamed the loudest traditionally has been shut up. And if we've got individuals who are being shut down by compliance, then that means that they're getting close to something that has caused issues for them.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy because I was sitting out yesterday morning, and Laura and I were on the laptop having church, and I was just thinking about how it was a beautiful blue sky. There wasn't a cloud in sight, and they've been spraying Northwest Arkansas and the surrounding areas really heavy recently. And I was just thinking about how there were absolutely no trails in the sky, and then here comes this plane. And before you knew it, I mean, our throats were itching, and it feels like you got a lump on this side. and there's just this haze all over the place, and the sun's disappeared, and you can see, the rainbow of heavy metal fragments in the atmosphere. And you can look it up. It's geoengineering. They've been doing it for years. They're spraying ammonium and aluminum oxide and all these different things, sulfur compounds. And probably 5 minutes after the plane passes, they come around and they go this way, and then they go this. And before you know it, the wind's blowing and it looks like it's starting to storm. And that takes me back to what Sam Tran's been doing on the ski slopes, testing all the snow and the ice and everything and finding it highly acidic. And people who are taking soil samples and snow samples and water samples are finding aluminum and a ton of other stuff in the soil and the water. But hey, we're just your friendly neighborhood conspiracy theorists. What do we know?
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're not allowed to say it. And that's probably the most frustrating thing to me about all of this, is that you're talking about a couple of entities that shouldn't even exist in the first place. But there's absolutely no authority for them to even exist. And here they are determining what we can and can't say, even though what we're saying is the absolute God's honest truth. We can't say it. And, I just know this. I'm going to stick with my immune system on Kangen water. That's what I'm going to stick with. I'm going to stick with eating healthy and, doing everything I can to eat healthy and give my immune system the main things that it needs so that it can do its job. That's how I'm going to fight all of this. And, I can't say that it's any kind of a cure or anything, because it isn't. It's not a cure. The cure is this thing. We talked about this over and over and over again. This thing right here is the cure. And, so we just have the number one tool that the machine needs to become its own mechanic. That's all. And so people can get scared all they want. Personally, I believe I already had this stupid virus, and I whooped its butt in 5 hours. It was gone. But I'm serious, man. I woke up on the 1st or the 25th of December with just an absolutely horrific sore throat. One of those kind of sore throats that every time in the past that I've ended up with a sore throat like that, I have ended up sick in bed for like the next week to 10 days, guzzling down the NyQuil like it's bourbon shots or whatever, and just sick. And all I did was drink myself my normal 28 ounces of 11.5, gargled like crazy with the 2.5, and went to bed. When I got up, that sore throat was gonzola. So that's what I believe. That's what I'm going to roll with. And did Kong's water cure my sore throat? Nope. My body did.
Our household has a protocol too. And we spray 2.5. We use it for disinfectant. Whenever we encounter people in the store, or if we go out, we spray it in the nose and in the back of our throat. And we drink 11.5 at night. I'm not telling people to drink it. The last thing that I need is to get shut down right now like some other people are. So that's what I do for my family. And what anybody else does for their family. I encourage them to read the owner's manual on their device, and then do a little bit of research on the science.
Yeah. Amen, brother. We're gonna continue to reiterate this over and over and over again ad nauseum. Kangen water doesn't cure anything. Plain and simple. It does not cure anything, and we never ever tell anybody that it does cure anything. And anybody that does tell somebody that it cures something, they always get blasted by all the other Kangen water distributors saying, hey, knock it off. You can't say that. It isn't even true. So we're more concerned about the truth than the government is. And, so This is interesting. Ricky Bowden over on the live site, he said Robert Wright came out with a good email PDF on this. I'm wondering what that is. Which PDF on what? Which subject? There, Ricky, let us know. But so anyway, yeah, Ian, what we want to try and do is, everybody knows all the craziness that's going on out there that's just blowing people's minds at this point. I guess what we want to try to do is offer solutions if we can, but even that's
Absolutely.
getting scary now. Offering what we have as a solution to the body is turning out to be something that we're not allowed to do.
Well, one thing that I can talk about at great length is how the nervous system responds to stress and how you can mitigate that. I've got a ton of clients over the years who have taken for granted what we say about, just doing some deep breathing. It's interesting if you look up some of the studies that have been done on diaphragmatic breathing exercises and how that relates to the stress response in the body and reducing oxidation.
Breathing.
So that's one of the first things that we usually incorporate with people whenever we're working with them, is we get them taking a deep breath in through their nose, trying to push their diaphragm down as far as they can. They hold that breath for about 4 seconds, and then they breathe out through the nose over 8 seconds, trying to create a vacuum. So trying to suck their belly button into their spine and create a vacuum under the rib cage. And that will help to activate the vagus nerve. So there's a theory called polyvagal theory that refers to the vagus nerve. As far as the autonomic nervous system is concerned, it's kind of the gateway for activation of the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest function of your body. And right now, people are too far on the other end of that spectrum. They're in fight or flight. So they see this thing coming. Everybody's terrified of this virus, and I'm not trying to downplay the seriousness of anything. Another thing is I would ask everybody to not use the name of the disease that people are getting from this virus, and do not name the virus. Just refer to it as the nondescript virus, because this is not just a Facebook thing. This is not just an Enagic thing. YouTube has an AI algorithm that's starting to filter and disseminate information, and it's deleting videos at will without an explanation. Twitter is deleting DMs and posts. Facebook is reading private messages and deleting private messages and deleting posts and putting flags on posts. And the founder of Facebook and Anthony Fauci actually just did a Facebook Live broadcast together, so you can disseminate from the information that's out there that all of the political and media parties, even if it's supposed to be free and decentralized media, it's not anymore, because they are working together to the same end.
Yeah, well, interestingly enough, our live feed just got shut down. I'm trying to get it restarted again, but all of a sudden, just like that, the live feed stopped. So
another thing, I'm using Free Conference Call because Zoom does, they've got data farming in their policies and procedures manuals. So whenever you agree to their policies, you agree that they can harvest your data and use it for whatever they see fit. They can send it to whoever. So if you say something on here, they can record that and snip it and forward it on. It's no longer your information.
George Orwell was indeed a prophet.
Yes, he was.
So Free Conference Call.
freeconferencecall.com. One thing that I can go into with you guys, if you want me to share my screen real quick, is the PowerPoint for that call that I did the other night, JJ, and I won't spend the entire time on it, but just to kind of show people we're trying to accomplish here.
Yeah, I think this whole thing you've gotten started now is a brilliant idea.
Well, I think we're going to have to do something because the individuals that have taken a long time to I guess kind of wake up to what's going on are, I mean, I think there's a Darwinian model for what we're experiencing right now. It's called survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. So just to give you guys a brief overview, I'll go into this for a few slides and then we'll discuss it. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
All right. So this is a project that I've been working on for.
Oh, I wonder why it's not. Oh, shoot. Go ahead and continue on.
Can you see everything?
Yeah. We can see it here, but over on the live side, I got to pump it back up over there.
Okay. Did you get Facebook Live going again?
I am working on that. I forgot to hit the share screen button. Or for whatever reason, it's not letting me share my screen. There we go. There we go. Now we got it. Okay.
Okay.
Carry on, my friend.
So the True Health Initiative is a program that I've been working on for coming up to 24 months. And back in 2005, I hurt myself really, really bad at work, and I could no longer work in the medical field because I couldn't use my right arm. And so I went from this position where I was doing a job that I really enjoyed. It was my passion, but it was very physically demanding to a point where I was just constantly disabled and in pain, and I couldn't even stock shelves at Walmart. So I've taken this. Obviously, there's the true health principles, the pillars that we all say that we stand on, and I've just chosen a creative way to put those into action. And if you look at the logo that we've designed here, we believe that Christ is the head of all things. All things were created for him, by him, and through him. And in him, all things hold together. Also, we believe that he's able to multiply anything that we put our hands to, that we put him ahead of. We believe that financial security is as paramount to people's existence as spiritual, mental, and physical health. And so we've tried to incorporate all of those things. A lot of Christians kind of freak out whenever they see the yin yang in there, but I included this slide just to further expand on the idea that
True Christians shouldn't freak out over any of that stuff.
well, it's everybody
not
has
an
their
affront to God. I don't get it.
everybody has their own interpretation, but you know,
Yeah.
it's our beliefs and our idioms that divide us, right? So as soon as you slap a label on something, you cease to understand it.
Oh my gosh, look what he posted.
What you got?
No, just speaking in general. No, see, didn't mean to interrupt. Go.
Oh, okay. I thought you had something interesting. So we base this basically on the parable of the talents and the minas. And so if you guys don't remember this one, it's in, I believe it's Matthew 25. There are servants that were given different sums of money by their master before he left, and they were told to steward over a part of their master's household. And so there's someone who went and he took his money and he buried it in the ground. And there's another guy who basically doubled his money. And there was a third servant who took the small amount that he was given, about 2,000 talents, and he multiplied it exponentially. And he did so in a way that it not only benefited him, but it benefited those around him. And when the master came back, he rewarded everyone according to his works. And for the one who was able to create, basically it's one thing to give somebody a job and teach them how to earn a paycheck. But if you can teach somebody how to have financial security, how to run their own business, and how to no longer be dependent on a paycheck, and you can do that time and time again, then you're creating an ecosystem. You're creating an ecosystem of individuals that can be financially independent and be successful and no longer be completely reliant on a system that could drop them at any time. And so that's what we've really tried to do with this program is, like you guys saw on the call that we did the other night, we've got individuals from big organizations, we've got individuals who are entrepreneurs, and individuals of different backgrounds, whether that be business or science, what have you. And we're just trying to bring everybody together to network. And the interesting thing is, over the years, I've been working with people on an international scale. And so we've got people in clusters locally, and we've got people all over the globe. But I think that we're definitely coming into a time where information is going to be so limited that we're going to have our little groups and cliques, because we're not going to be able to say publicly what we have in the past. So we exist solely for the purpose of advancing kingdom economy in the earth. Anthony DeMello said these things will destroy the human race: politics without principle, progress without compassion, wealth without work, learning without silence, and religion without fearlessness, and worship without awareness. It does us absolutely no good to think that we're excellent worshipers, or I go to church every Sunday and I give 10% of my income. Well, I could argue that Cain brought an offering and Abel brought a sacrifice, and the Lord was pleased with Abel and he was displeased with Cain. It's not about doing something out of obligation. It's not about having our lives be an external reflection of something. It's about becoming love in everything that you do. And so what we've done is we've picked experts in their fields, people who are at the very top of what they do. We have we've got one individual whose dissertation has been downloaded multiple thousands of times all across the globe. And we've got individuals who have been studying economics for 30 years and just been able to bring them together thanks to network and community. And this is something that we're doing not to necessarily monetize or try and make a buck, but just to help our Kongan team be successful. And a lot of our clients were displaced, and we try and treat people like a family. So we're going to try and do the same thing for them that we would do for our Kongan family. And we hope that they see the value and they buy a machine. But if they don't, that doesn't mean that we're going to throw them to the wolves either. I still want people to feel like they have a sense of community during this time. And I'm not out here screaming that the end. I believe that this is a hard reset. I believe that there's a group of individuals within the church that are waiting for all of a sudden, the sky to open up and the clouds to roll back, and they're going to be sucked out of here. And that's quite the opposite of what I believe. I believe that those people are going to fall away and that their hearts are going to fail them when they recognize that this coming tribulation is something that everybody's going to have to live through. and find a way to deal with and survive through. And whenever I'm gonna be a little bit dangerous, I guess, and make a prediction that just when things look like they're at their best, the floodgates are going to open. Because ultimately, if you look at what's going on around the world right now, look at what certain celebrities, I'm not going to name any names, but certain celebrities on social media are posting some really wild stuff right now. And their entire code, they're posting social media posts with Corona typewriters, old black typewriters, and writing cryptic messages to one another. And there are individuals right now who have left just random articles of clothing, pieces of garment, a random shoe in their Facebook posts, and they're writing cryptic messages. And all the while, around the globe right now, there's a pedophile ring that's being exposed. All this stuff that we've talked about for years and years, that everybody's called us conspiracy theorists for believing, is just right out in the open. And you can literally watch it play out in front of your face like a battle of good versus evil. I believe that there are good people in the world that are trying to make a difference. But I believe that ultimately the roots on this thing go deep, and they wouldn't have gotten to where they're at if they weren't very, very crafty. That's all I'm going to say on the matter. A lot in a dark time. I recognize that people are kind of freaking out. This has hit a lot of families very, very hard. So this is a little bit about my background. I've shared this in previous presentations, but basically what all these alphabet soup initials mean. Whenever I was 18, I became an emergency medical technician, what we call an EMT basic. And I worked on the ambulance, I worked in the emergency room, I did some work in ICU, and in PCCU is a coronary care unit. So after people would have heart surgery, they would come up to the floor, and it was my job to look at how their heart was beating and see if their electrical signal that was traveling through their heart was doing anything aberrant or abnormal. And so it was my job to recognize those things that could cause them to have an emergency event kind of before it happened. And then also I worked in the lab and had a lot of experience over the years disseminating in blood tests and blood cultures. You get to learn a bunch of cool stuff. So whenever I became a nationally registered paramedic, I was primarily licensed in Missouri and Arkansas. And I've got specific certifications for things like advanced medical life support, advanced cardiac life support, pediatric advanced life support, pre-hospital trauma life support. I've been trained in weapons of mass destruction, hazardous materials mitigation, bloodborne pathogens, disaster mitigation. I've been trained under FEMA to use the National Incident Management System and the Incident Command System. And then you can see special positions and special training that I've held. So, I mean, I don't know it all, but I've got enough of a background that, like, I don't know, I guess I kind of feel like this time that we've found ourselves in, I've quote unquote trained my whole life for in a way. But also I recognize the fact that I didn't have a team that knew what to do. So everybody's just chicken littling it and the sky is falling. In 2015, that was me. I sprained my shoulder at work, and I was diagnosed with a condition called complex regional pain syndrome, or reflex sympathetic dystrophy, which is a systemic nerve condition that causes extreme pain and basically causes your body to shut down. And I had to transition at that point from a job in healthcare to being disabled without compensation, because the work comp system did everything that they could to make me a number on a page and make sure that I would just go away because they didn't like the diagnosis. I was actually diagnosed by 7 doctors in about 2 years, and 6 doctors agreed on the diagnosis. And then I ended up having to go to court because the commission went with the diagnosis that was made by the one dissenting opinion. And they said it was their prerogative who they were going to listen to. So what we ended up doing, I went back and studied and got involved with some companies that were providing some advanced technology. And the technology that was somewhat archaic, and we've picked up better technologies along the way. And Enagic was one of those. The ionizer is a great fit to everything that we've been doing with our electrophysiology program. And I try and explain to people that I'm more of a scientist or an educator, because we're not medically based. What we do is provide the technology, and then we show people how to use it. But our mission is to help people access the God-given power of their neurology to heal, adapt, and grow. And we do this through research, development, and advancement of technology, and the cultivation of a change agent mentality through neurological rehabilitation and fitness coaching. A change agent is a person or a group that facilitates the change process in an organization. And the change agent is viewed as the entity that motivates, inspires, catalyzes, and potentially leads the change process in hopes of a positive outcome. So you could kind of think of this as discipleship. We're taking people in a very difficult situation, and we're trying to provide them hope and provide them a little bit of leadership experience so that they can approach the situation that they found themselves in with confidence. We're a faith-based business. We're built with a decentralized culture, which is entrepreneurs helping entrepreneurs. It's not a pyramid. Most of the training that I do, I don't even get paid for. And I've traveled all over to train. I've trained on the East Coast, the West Coast. We just finished up a class down in Austin, Texas. And like I said, we work with people all over. I'm not a rich man. I give away more than I make, and that's just because I've got a heart for people. But everything that you see on this diagram over here is kind of what we're trying to mitigate. And the American Institute of Stress has actually said that any definition of stress that does not include activation of the HPA axis, it doesn't define stress as being a stimulus that causes you to go into fight or flight, that affects your hormones and your nervous system and causes body-wide changes. If you have a definition of stress that doesn't include those things, your definition is deficient. So this is a severe oversimplification of the endocrine stress cycle, but this is basically what we're fighting. As you guys know, I refer to this as an inflammatory loop, or going down the rabbit hole. You have a stressor initially, and then the body reacts to that stress. You have increased oxidative stress, wear and tear on the body and organ systems, which reduces your optimum health and increases your sensitivity to subsequent stressful situations. And of course, it's not like we just encounter one stressor and then that all goes away. So it's kind of a cycle or a loop. This is further exemplified when we start to share conversations of victimization and complaining and suffering and blaming. If we're constantly stuck in that negative mindset, we're going to perpetuate more negative mindset. I've got a description at the bottom of this slide. If we share the same experiences, we share the same emotions and the same energies. Just like two oxygen atoms bond to form the air that we breathe, an invisible field of energy bonds us emotionally. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this if you've ever met somebody who just zaps you in conversation. Again, this is an oversimplification of what's going on. You've got cells that have lost an electron, they've become free radicals, and they're going to start stealing electrons from the cells around them. So you need an antioxidant that can donate a whole bunch of electrons to your unhealthy cells. Almost like we know a product that does that, but we can't say it. Chronic stress, it's a huge deal. You can see the diagram on the right, everything that comes out of free radical oxidative stress. And this is not an all-inclusive list. It just causes our bodies to break down faster. And so there are studies that have been showing that the adaptive immune system is actually suppressed during high levels of stress hormone release like cortisol. When your adrenals start to kick up and your body goes into fight or flight and you're focusing on running away from the tiger, your body is not focusing on healing itself. And we've got you guys have heard me talk before about the protect perform continuum. If you're constantly in protection, your performance is going to go down because you're spending energy units on making sure that you're free from a threat that you could normally be used to absorb nutrients and rebuild your system. Again, which RP is so important. And I could go into this, but I'm not going to. So that's what I got. You know, it's been said, a very, very wise man once said that the wise guru will not attempt to wake anybody up. I wish for people to have an awareness of the times, and I wish for them to be able to disseminate that information. And anybody who thinks that I'm too kooky, fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's why we get along so well, Ian. I don't care what other people think either. You know,
Cuckoo for the kingdom.
I'm only interested in the truth. So wherever that truth leads me, that's where I'm going. And I've changed my paradigm multiple times over the last 20 years. And, you know, every time something comes along that shows me that what I believe is not true, then I have to shift that belief. And, you know, there's a lot of people out there that are just so hung up on their beliefs that nothing you tell them is going to change their mind. And, you know, I'm the exact opposite of that. I think all you guys are too. So yeah, we're definitely in really interesting times. What was the saying? May you live in interesting times.
We're definitely doing that.
We got them.
So I shared with you guys, I don't know if the video is even still up, but a while back we shared some information about some stuff that was coming out of the East, where there were actually 46 million people that were being quarantined at that time. And by the time we shared that, it was something like 52, 53 million. And it was brought to you guys before it was news. There was an opposite rhetoric or an opposite dialogue that was being given. And then, you know, that information came out. And then there's just been so much that's happened over the past few months that I think it's like people don't really know what to think or what to see as real. The rest of the world is in a place that we haven't yet seen ourselves in, and that's that all of their travel is restricted depending on where you live. Like I know Mr. Tran is dealing with his own difficulties being where he's at geographically. But what I'm seeing that's interesting is that when people start posting about their individual circumstances on social media, they're being silenced. So first you have the distancing, and you make people either docile as Hindu cows or unable to do anything about this coming situation. And so I just want to encourage everybody that, you know, there is hope in this coming for a while. We've expected it. I'm not a prepper, so I've got a little bit of canned food. I'm not storing up wealth for myself where moss and rust can destroy. I'm literally just, I'm trying to reach people, and I'm trying to give people hope, and I'm trying to tell you guys, don't panic. If you're living in fear, you're playing directly into the agenda. You're weakening your body and your immune system, your ability to see things and to really calculate thought. You're scrambling. So if you're in a state of fear, fight, flight, or freeze, you can't make good decisions. That's why people in special forces train until they get, and then they train until they can't get it wrong. Because if you ever see something happen in a crowded place that has military training, will respond when everybody else reacts. And so what I'm trying to get across in my point is that now is the time for a response, not a reaction. Now is the time to be solution-based, not problem-heavy. We need to help the people that may not be coping with this situation as well as we are. Absolutely, I'm still sharing water as much as I can, but I'm also being smart, and I'm going to take the several years of training that I've acquired in my situation. And this week, I'm bringing everything home from my office, and I'm getting my den organized. I'm going to put my desk and my chair in here, and I'm going to start working from the house, because there's absolutely no reason for me to be driving 35 minutes to my office when I can't work with people.
Right.
This is not going to go away by mid-April. Right now, they're saying end of April, beginning of May. I've got my own ideas on this that I'm not going to publicize. I'm not going to share my figures because I don't want to be, I don't want that as somebody that's going to be narrative of the mainstream right now. I want to be able to continue to help people. That's not coming from a position of fear. That's coming from a position of pragmatism. I want to be very careful what I say during this time, and I want you guys to be very careful about what you say during this time. And let's share what information that we can and make sure that we're sticking to the script that's been approved by the company. And let's allow people to be smart enough to disseminate that information for themselves. If somebody doesn't have the vocabulary to discern what's being said in a medical study, or if somebody's gonna, you know, there's a saying that rich people buy stocks, poor people buy toilet paper. So I'm not about the
Smart
panic.
people buy Imagine.
Smart people buy Enagic, right?
Right.
So once you really understand what oxidative stress is, and you understand what the endocrine stress cycle is, once you are able to look at that from a perspective of an engineer looking at a diagram or a schematic, and you can say A plus B equals C, and what I don't want is, so I need to try and come back to A and minimize my risk over here so that I can mitigate a response at the end of this cycle. That's ultimately good water, good hydration is a component of that. Good diet is a component of that. A good mental hygiene is a component of that. Not living in is a component of that. If you're experiencing joy and love during this time, you bolster your immune system probably 100 times what it would be as if you're living in fear and you're freaked out. Your body literally cannot defend itself in that state.
What a great message. We need people to get, you know, to not be fearful of. That's the part that kills me so much, is that it's like, I just love what Sam says. You know, none of us are getting out of here alive. You know, so your time's coming whenever it comes. How's it going to come? Who knows? Why be worried about it?
We're passing through, baby.
Why be afraid of some virus that you can't even see?
At the same time, though, I plead, people, do not make claims. I've been on YouTube. I've seen the titles of some of these YouTube. I'm not Mr. Compliance. You guys know that. I'm more Mr. Science. And so I'll put stuff out there, but I put stuff out there in a way that I'm quoting a research paper that was done. And I try my best not to draw lines of comparison where it would be a reach for individuals. I've even been called on some of the stuff that I've put out, and I've had to change the way that I'm doing that. But guys, understand this is the tip of the iceberg, and ultimately, the goal here of what we do in trying to mitigate a situation like this. If you listen to individuals speak about what they're all about, certain doctors that are steering our world health will tell you, I'm about drugs, and I'm not going to use the V word because it'll just get me censored, but that's going to be the next thing to is that we've already seen the chloroquine. And JJ, I'm not going to read the side effects, but what I shared with you tonight that had you literally laughing in tears, and I'm going, yeah. And so then there will be a universal response to this, and I firmly believe that there will be an indicator, an identifier that will go along with that to show that the response to the situation has been mitigated, and to implement surveillance, because that's what they've been saying in the press conferences, is that they're going to increase surveillance. They're going to do that through cameras and imaging, and there's been talk of a biomarker identification tattoo that people get. There's been talk about an RFID chip that will include all of your medical records and all of your key information. And there's already talk of decentralizing the currency and going to a cryptocurrency or blockchain format, kind of like the Amero dollar that was discussed. Because right now we're pumping, what is it, like $1 trillion a day? Is it $1 or $3 trillion a day into the economy? Either way, it's $15 loaves of bread. It's not sustainable. So socialism on a massive scale that you can't run away from.
Yeah.
Well, it's like we're being challenged with that whole, you thought about that, World War II vets, and you even go back to the whole give me liberty or give me death. And what we're dealing with right now is the choice, in a lot of respects, and we've chosen to err on the side of compromising liberty. You know, I mean, I know my grandparents' generation and those guys, they'd be like, I'd just soon die than have all this stuff come to a screeching halt, you know. But today, everyone's so afraid of this thing that they just soon, hey, lock me in my closet, keep me at home, because they don't understand. I don't think they don't understand the fundamental foundation of what's going on. Maybe I don't fully either, but all signs are pointing in that direction on that road. And I'm the kind of guy where everybody's heading to the cliff. I'm heading the other way. You know, that's just the way I look at it. It's a fundamental compromise being made that, you know, our generation, they're not getting, that a lot of other generation, you know, before died for. And that's just liberty, is freedom. Am I off? Maybe I'm thinking too much about it, but
people are going to learn of gardening during this time.
oh, I'm already rocking and rolling. We're going to till that bad boy today. And we're going to go out and shovel all the cow crap from all the grazing we did for a month, and we're going to throw it in that garden and till away, baby.
Yep. Compost and grow your veggies.
Giddy up.
Yeah, luckily for us, we're well ahead of the curve on that one. We've been gardening, and we've got our apricot trees, and we have bitter apricot trees, kids. In fact, they've been planting themselves all winter long. We got them growing out in the backyard. They're like the pits have busted open, and the seeds have started growing, and they've started planting themselves. And so if all goes well here this spring, we'll have plenty of start for anybody that wants a bitter apricot tree.
Hey, the days of raiding someone's garden are going to be coming back. We used to raid gardens when we were little just for raspberries and strawberries, and then somebody'd come out and we'd take off through the alley. That's going to happen again.
That's why I'm trying to tell people that it's so valuable to have a business that you can operate from the comfort of your home, and to have products that you can sell and not have to maintain a physical inventory.
Right.
Like, how awesome is that? We've got a product that we don't even have to touch physical inventory. We can give somebody a link, they can watch a description video and see what it's all about, and then they can put their information in and it ships directly to their house. And then they can have access to just about everything that people are out of in the stores right now. I mean, I'm not going to claim that I have a recipe to make toilet paper with 11.5 and cauliflower, but I'm sure it could be done. Sorry.
When you come up with that, you're going to be rich.
Oh, good God.
Just got to make sure that it holds together for the entire job, you know? I saw a dude the other day that was talking about he finally found a use for kale.
Oh, no. Nice. It even curls up on the edges to catch some of those hard to reach places, I would imagine.
That's what he was saying, is that the ridges gave it a great scrubbing effect.
Oh, bless his heart.
Oh, well, boys.
I mean, I hear bidets are coming back in style, man.
Hey, listen, that's huge. Bidets should be used with the 2.5 to give it the old disinfectant of the rectant. And then, hey, and then beauty water to kind of freshen up the pucker, you know, keep it nice and clean and toned, no wrinkles. You know, I'm talking about we were all, with that invention, will have the freshest, most disinfected puckers on the planet.
Dude, we should patent that. One button for the 2.5, one button for the beauty water.
That's it. That is exactly it.
You guys are too much.
Oh, Lord.
Oh,
You know, if you can't have fun doing what you're doing something wrong. And, you know, I think it's awesome how we can get into these serious meetings and have some fun with them. And, you know, that's, I think, a big part of the solution. Got to find solutions to all this stuff, kids. And I love what you're putting together, Ian. I'm looking forward to being part of it and sharing it out there and trying to get other people involved and whatever, however it is you want to work it. I want to do my part, do whatever I can to get it out there.
You know, I've been doing a lot of reading, and there was something that I wanted to give to you guys. I mean, it's a short chapter in a book that I'm reading. I just want you guys to be able to ponder this with what we're dealing with right now in our time, because a lot of people didn't think that anything like this could or would ever happen. And again, I was talking to you guys in January and February, and I don't think that we've been surprised by this situation. We've actually had a lot of conversations saying, oh yeah, you see the direction this is going, and we've all been in agreement about that. And whenever I come back to just this concept that our beliefs and our labels divide us, I think that we need to understand the perspectives of those around us and understand what people are dealing with, that it doesn't matter what uniform somebody is wearing, it doesn't matter what job they do or whether they've been laid off. It doesn't matter what nationality they are, what language they, what color their skin is. We all bleed red. When our blood is exposed to oxygen, it flows the same. The same things kill a single person on the planet. And everybody is just as scared because nobody's ever seen anything like this before. And the fact, go to Matthew 25, actually, let me put a pin in that. You guys will love hearing this morning. So there's a couple of parables here, and then it comes into the judgment. And I'm going to read this from the Passion Translation. When the Son of Man appears in his majestic glory with all his angels at his side, he will take his seat on his throne of splendor, and all the nations will be gathered together before him, and like a shepherd who separates the sheep from the goats, he will separate all the people. The sheep he will put on his right side, and the goats on his left. Then the king will turn to those on his right and say, you have a special place in my Father's heart. Come and experience the full inheritance of the kingdom, realm that has been destined for you before the foundation of the world. For when you saw me hungry, you fed me. When you found me thirsty, you gave me something to drink. When I had no place to stay, you invited me in. And when I was poorly clothed, you covered me. When I was sick, you tenderly cared for me. And when I was in prison, you visited me. Then the godly will answer him, Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty, and gave you food and something to drink? When did we see you with no place to stay and invite you in? When did we see you poorly clothed and cover you? When did we see you sick and tenderly care for you, or in prison and visit you? And the king will answer, don't you know? When you cared for one of the least important of these my little ones, my true brothers and sisters, you demonstrated love for me.
Amen. Wow.
So on that note, I've got the illusion of rewards. And there's a chapter that's building up to what we define as being okay or being not okay, and what society says is okay, or what society defines as being not okay. And I'm not trying to come across as a religious fanatic. One of my best friends is a Buddhist, and we share conversation on philosophy and just love. It's about becoming love. And there's a number of people that are short-sighted in seeing that, and they want to make sure that they're right in their legalism so that they don't get it wrong. But as a result, they start slapping labels on everything so that they can compartmentalize for their brain to end, and then they cease to understand people around them, and they can't relate to anybody who comes from a different background because they've labeled these people, or they've shut off because there was something in the individual's personality that was offensive to them. It was an affront. And I would say that if we're allowing ourselves to be offended by people, then we're allowing our own ego to get in the way of life. Because if I'm offended by something that you say, I don't have a problem with you. I have a problem with me. I have a problem with how I'm perceiving what you have said in my mind's eye, and I've latched on to something, a word that you've said, and I've perceived that word in such it caused offense within me because I felt like something in me was threatened by a word that was. And if we have really died to ourselves the way that we're supposed to, the way that we're called to, and it's reflected in the way that Yeshua talked to the rich young ruler. And really every teaching, every sermon that he gave was die to yourself, live as a servant, put the needs of others above yourself, and treat others with agape love. When he was talking to Peter, a lot of people miss something absolutely huge before he went to the cross. And then after he went to the cross, because Peter denied him 3 times. Before he went to the cross, Peter said, I'll die with you, to the point that he even, whenever they came for Yeshua, he grabbed a soldier's sword and cut off his ear. And Yeshua said to him, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. He said, don't resort to violence. They couldn't do anything that my Father did, because there was something that had to be accomplished for his purpose here to be fulfilled. But everything that he did as a man who was baptized in the Holy Spirit, who walked in perfect step with God, because God didn't make a covenant with himself, he made a covenant with man, and so that had filled. And I know a lot of people in the church will accuse me of bordering on heresy right now, but just understand what I'm saying, because there's a point to all of this. I'm not just trying to ramble. So after he went to the cross, after Peter denied him, after Peter showed his humanity's fallen state, and they were reunited, Yeshua asked him 3 times if he loved you, if he loved him. Simon, do you love me? And he says, Lord, you know I do. And he asks him again, Simon, do you? Yes, yes, I told you I do. And then he asks him a 3rd time. Now, what people don't get because of the translation is that there are two words for love there. One is phileo, and it means a brotherly love. Like you and I have a camaraderie, and I have a brotherly affection for you. And the other word is agape, and it means I love you not because of what you've done for me, because I'm going to get something from you. I love you because he first loved me, and I'm willing to lay my life down for you. And so the dialogue of that was literally Yeshua saying, Simon Peter, do you agape me? And he said, Lord, do you know I phileo you? And he asked him again, but Simon Peter, do you agape me? Lord, I've already told you I phileo you. And so then something really cool happened after that, and Yeshua met him where he was. And he said, Simon Peter, do you phileo me? He said, yes, I do. And the neat thing about that is he was given the opportunity to build his faith. And there are a lot of people from a lot of different backgrounds who have been seeking God in this time. And there's about to be a lot of confusing and confounding information that's put out. And so I just want to encourage everybody to make sure that in everything that you do it with clean hands and a pure heart. Because now is more of an important time for that than ever. Especially when people are about to probably experience a level of persecution that the world hasn't seen in a very long time. And I believe with my whole heart that that's coming. So the illusion of rewards. The great mystics and masters in the East will say, who are you? Many think the most important question in the world is, who is Jesus Christ? Wrong. Many think it is, does God exist? Wrong. Many think it is there life after death? Wrong. Nobody seems to be grappling with the problem of, is there life before death? Yet my experience is that it's precisely the ones who don't know what to do with this life that are all hot and bothered about what they're going to do with another life. One sign that you're awakened is that you don't give a damn about what's going to happen in the next life. You're not bothered about it. You don't care. You're not interested, period. Do you know what eternal life is? You think it's everlasting life, but your own theologians will tell you that that is crazy because everlasting is still within time. It is time perduring forever. Eternal means timeless, no time, outside of time. The human mind cannot understand that. The human mind can understand time and deny time. What is timeless is beyond our comprehension. Yet the mystics tell us that eternity is right now. How's that for good news? It's right now. People are so distressed when I tell them to forget their past. They're just so proud of their past, or they are so ashamed of their past. And that's just crazy. Just drop it. When you hear repent for your past, realize it's a great religious distraction from waking up. It actually means to change your mind, to change the way that you're thinking. But we it about crying over our sins and everything that we've done wrong, and we beat ourselves up. That was awesome, you guys. Get him. Go after him with the rolling pin. Tell him. If you got a frying pan handy, just
Don't give her too many ideas there. Darrell be in trouble.
so. But that's what it means to repent. To change your mind, to up. to change the way that you're thinking and perceiving things. It doesn't mean to cry over your sins. It means to change your mind about the way that you've been thinking. Understand that a has been unhealthy and that you need to focus on something that's going to bring life. And I think now is more of a time for that than ever. Yeah, give him a kiss. You guys need to make up. Yeah, a house divided can't stand.
Oh man, I love that. That is so perfect. Change your mind. Change your thoughts.
Don't focus on the storm. Don't focus on the waves. Just focus on maintaining perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got it. You just said it. I'm sitting here thinking about, no, I won't interrupt, but I've got to share this with you because it's something that I've utilized through a lot of my storms. And no matter what we're going through, it's funny. This is applied to everything. So it basically says, it's a prayer. It's precious Lord, I know I'm not the only one feeling storm-tossed and perplexed by the challenges I am facing right now. Though I may not be able to see or hear you, I know you are with me. Though the sky seems dark all around me, I know you are near. Nothing can separate me from your love. No storm is stronger than your grip on me. I will surely triumph in this work of your hands. I humbly bow before you and worship you as my King. Have your way in me and make me ready for my next place of promise. I boldly rise up in faith in this painful place, and I dare ask you, Lord, put a dream in my heart. Show me what a liar the enemy is and reveal to me the next place of promise. I will possess the land by faith because you are faithful, Lord. How I love you and am humbled by your power, grace, and mercy. Amen. You know, I've used that for a lot. And it just, you talk about storms. Every time I hear that, that comes to mind.
Absolutely. Guys, I'm going to start sharing some videos. I added you guys to this group that we're doing, the True Health Ambassadors group. And I'm going to be very careful who I put in that group. So if you guys have anybody that is totally 100% in alignment with our message, then I'm okay with you inviting them to some of our conference calls and these kinds of things, but I'm going to be very careful about who I approve, because that's not something that I'm necessarily doing for one particular company. That's something that I'm trying to do for a group of individuals. I want to cultivate a kingdom mindset, and there are things that we're going to do in that group, like I want to have individuals who are willing to speak against situations and declare certain things, what we would refer to as prophetic intercession. And so some of the professionals that I've reached out to that we're trying to build our network with are very versed in that. And we've talked for a long time about the power of life and death being in the tongue and our words having power. And so what I'm trying to do is create a community of individuals of life who can come together and stand in agreement that our word would go forth and make a difference in this time. So changed everything in there to be very nondescript. Everybody can come in and promote their own businesses, their own products. We're trying to keep it around health and wellness, but it is not to do with a certain project or a certain company. Nobody can put their name or trade on that other than we started the program and we've kept everything branded to our company. So I will pick and choose who I want to be in the group because it's a faith-based group. It's not marketing and all that. It's about cultivating healthy mental hygiene. And there's no room for dissension. There's no room for an alternate diagram to be drawn, because I think that we have to be steadfast.
I agree. Brother, thank you so much for everything you're doing, man. Love having you in here. twice a month. I look forward to it because it's always just a ton of value. And this, I think, is one of the more powerful episodes that we put together. And looking forward to getting it out there and sharing it out. And, just looking forward to doing this work with you guys, all of you. And so, yeah, what a great way to start the week out. And we're going to get through this whole mess, and we're going to come out of it better on the other side. And so, as we always love to say when we end this show, we are the Kong family, and we're here to change the world. And Wetzel, how is it that we're doing that again?
Well, I like to think it's by simply drinking one supremely hydrogenating, oxygen saturating glass of 9.5 at a time. Thank you kindly.
Amen. One lightning bolt in a box, one incredible, informative guest, one amazing family of people at a time. So you guys get out there, change the world, starting with your own. And right now, especially now, in these days of social distancing, do not forget your hugs. You can't get a hug. You gotta give yourself a hug, and don't forget your hoodie.
Son has a nice haircut.
Hey, I feel like the heat miser from Year Without a Santa Claus.
Yeah, I got it all off.
Hey, has anybody else noticed how Idiocracy has kind of a documentary or a how-to video?
No, dude, seriously, it
You,
is a
you need to drink
documentary.
water, like from the toilet.
Oh,
It has
Toilet age.
electrolytes.
It's got what you crave.
In this toilet age.
I have never been able to watch that movie more than 10, 15 minutes over the last 20 years because I just get into I'll be walking by it or it'll be on or, I've never been able to watch more than 10, 15 minutes. It drives me nuts because I know too many people in reality that are like that.
Dude,
And this is before Congan.
do you want to really bake your noodle? Go back right now and watch V for Vendetta. It's on Netflix.
Ooh, no, I like that. Geez, I haven't seen that in 20 some years.
Watch it with new eyes.
Ooh, the lolly. Okay.
Different glasses.
Yep.
go watch that, and then also to go watch The Matrix, the original Matrix. So those two movies right now, man, they're like, whoa.
Google some stuff that's happening right now following the White Rabbit. That's all I'm going to say. Look for the
White
White
Rabbit?
Rabbits. Look
White
for
Rabbit?
the White Rabbits.
Now, I tell you what, with this social distancing, if Trinity showed up at my door, I'd just keep her here and lock her ass up with me.
This is not a stretch. Just make sure that you're paying attention to where you're getting your sources from. But it's a chemical formula turned on its side. That's what I'm going to say.
Wow.
Right on, kids. I love you guys all so much. Thanks for being here. Hope you guys found as much value out of this today as I did. Get out there, change the world, starting with your own.
Woo-hoo!
Make it a great one. Woo-hoo, kids.
Woo-hoo!
More fun tomorrow.
See you guys. Love you guys.
All right, work. Yep.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Woo-hoo.
Woo-hoo!